The Minister for Justice has defended his comments about a man he said in a Dáil reply last week visited Colombia under an assumed name, but who has since denied ever visiting that country. The man is, of course, Frank Connolly, founder of the Centre for Public Inquiry. The reply was to a question tabled by independent TD Finian McGrath, who joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Carl.
Michael McDowell unfortunately said he was not available to talk to us. In his absence, let me quote to you what I think is the core of his statement issued in defence of the reply he gave to you last week. In matters, I quote, in matters relating to the protection of the state's security and the prevention of subversion of democracy, which sometimes involves making the public aware of underlying facts and allegations, it would be very wrong of a Minister for Justice to fail to take action or to speak out on the sole basis that the subject matter was incapable or unlikely to be established beyond reasonable doubt in the criminal justice process. Unquote. What do you make of that response?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's another disgraceful follow-up statement to what he said during the week. I think it's classic McDowellism. He knows he's crossed the line, Carl, in relation to Article 46 of the Constitution, which deals with the whole issue of the authority of the state and the security of the state. The bottom line, he's got it wrong. He knows that, and he's now rowing back in relation to his response to my Dáil question. I also feel very, very strongly that the Minister has done a great disservice to democracy. The way he's been swanging around the Dáil over the last week, he's abused Dáil privilege. He now knows that many people in the media, many legal people, that the abuse of Dáil privilege has been disgraced, and organisations like the NUJ, legal people, politicians have now major concerns about his role as Minister for Justice.
Well, now there are, as you know, standing orders in the Dáil which govern things like defamation and the abuse of privilege, and you've spoken about an abuse of privilege already. So is this something you intend to raise?
Well, not only will I raise it, but I've already started the process in motion. I mean, most people involved in politics and democratic politics, and can I suggest the Minister you delete the word progressive Democrat from any of his political vision over the next couple of weeks, because when you talk about justice, you're talking about presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. That is the foundation of all Democrats, all people who are genuine in instant justice.
He makes the point, and it is a fair one, that proof beyond reasonable doubt, that's appropriate to trials. It's not applicable to many aspects of, as he puts it, of many aspects of public and private affairs, particularly politics.
But he's got the balance wrong in relation to the rights of the individual citizen and the rights of the security of the state. I feel very strongly that he's undermined our justice system. He's damaged the integrity of other institutions of the state. Over the last few days, a number of people who worked in the Department of Justice have expressed major concerns about his handling of this one. But can I say as well, Carl, there's a broader agenda going on here in relation to the Centre for Public Inquiry. There are people within the Cabinet that have major problems about an organisation with great integrity, great honesty, investing corruption and sleaze in Irish politics.
Do you regret asking the question last week, given the answer you got? You provoked this. If you hadn't asked the question, maybe he wouldn't have said what he said in the Dáil.
I was hopping mad, basically, when I asked him the question, it was directed about the Centre for Public Inquiry. I didn't ask any question about Frank Connolly. And by the way, I would totally defend the integrity and honesty of Frank Connolly. Frank Connolly has answered all questions, and on legal advice, he will be dealing with the other issues in the future.
Well,
so I think that's very important that your listeners know that.
That's inaccurate. He hasn't answered all questions. Would it help if he were more forthcoming about what he did, about what passports he applied for or were applied for in his name or with his photograph, or where he was? Would it help if he were more forthcoming?
Well, basically, I think he's been very forthcoming. He's answered all the questions there recently. I think that also that on legal advice he's been advised that these questions will be answered in the future. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I also think, though,
he's the head of the Centre for Public Inquiry, and yet you're saying there's some public inquiries which he doesn't have to answer?
I didn't say that. I said Frank Connolly has answered all the questions, and he will answer the other relevant questions in the future. I was talking to Frank last night, and this is the factual situation. He's nothing to hide. He'll deal with these. But at the same time, though, what I want to know is, I want to ask the Minister for Justice questions. Why did he go out to undermine an organisation that's investigating sleaze and corruption in the state? Why did he undermine the DPT? He's breached fundamental principles of the DPP's office, and I think basically he should resign.
And you're raising that with the Committee of Procedure and Privileges, which is the forum which will decide if there was an abuse of privilege, as you say. Finian McGrath, independent TD, thank you.